Yes, life is good, especially if you have a Beretta 92 FS, right? Wow, old school. It's funny how things become old school pretty fast, don't they? Yeah, Hickok 45 coming to you from the beautiful hills of Middle Tennessee, your internet shooting companion. And we are in Tennessee, the home of Jeff Quinn. We miss him. Appreciate y'all coming in. And it's good to see you again. Gosh, it's been since what, last Sunday? Well, not really. You know, you've seen a few videos since last Sunday, I hope, of ours, okay? At least 2 or 3. At least every one we've posted. How's that, okay? Never watch our videos that we don't post, okay? That means you're somehow sneaking into my thumb drive and watching. Now, I appreciate you coming by, and we'll do the usual, shoot a little bit, talk about this gun, and just reveal some idiocy, stupidity, and maybe by mistake, something brilliant. You never know. Yeah, you know what they say, sometimes fools have the most wisdom. Yeah, you never know. You never do. So, yeah, I got the 92. Yeah, I was just, again, in the mood to shoot this thing. I don't know when I shot it last. Probably in a video, really, that I actually had it out and fired it. Maybe a comparison or something. I could look on the channel and see when the last Beretta 92 video we did. And I see it a lot, you know, in the safe, one of the safes, because I'm getting something out. Oh, there's Beretta. I ain't shot that in a while. And today I'm remedying that. Just take a few shots. I forgot to bring my magazine loader over here. But yeah, so should we shoot something? What do you think? Let's get the safety off. This you can tell I haven't shot this for a while. Yeah. Woo, 2 pins. That propane tank. In the intro, I kind of walked over there and was taking a shot at the gong. I don't know if I hit it or not. I think I hit it once at least, those 2 shots. I moved the gong. I moved the post for some reason. I took the post out. I needed the post, I guess, yeah. And I put it back in a different place. I need to move it. I realized. I thought it would work where it is, but I need to move it again. So anyways, the 92 FS, it's kind of nice to become reacquainted with it. It's a good gun. They've... you know, most people I've talked to in the military don't have a problem, major problem with it. You know, there were some, it seems like with every firearm, every new military adoption, so many firearms that just come out in general. Yeah, the thing about the SIG P320s, you know, the issues, the drop issue, whatever. With this one, the slide issue when it first came out, the AR-15s, M16s, you know, the issues they had in Vietnam, and P365, we could name a lot of firearms that have gone on to become iconic, extremely reliable firearms, you know, just working out the early bugs. I don't know, not enough field testing or whatever it might be. Wonder if the AK-47 had those issues. It might have. You know, we just didn't know about it. We think of it as the ultimate in reliability, and the Glock and guns like that. Excuse me. You know, the AK, if you study up a little bit on that, they really kept that firearm a secret, you know, and from, gosh, up until in the early 50s, I think, you know, we just hadn't seen it. Maybe we did and didn't let anybody know, but they used to carry it around in a bag. The soldiers, I think, had to carry it in a bag so it wouldn't be seen. It was just, you know, they were so proud of it or didn't want the enemy, their enemies, to know what they had. As I understand, I think I read that everybody has very important, if you shot it, to police your brass, you know, and not leave even the brass around. They were really trying to keep that a secret. So who knows, there may have been some serious issues with it early on that they didn't keep, that they did keep the secret on it. We probably know that by now, though, and you may read more on them and study more and know more about that. That's the beauty of today's world. There's so many people into firearms who have been into firearms as long as I have. And many of them specialize. I see them on the internet. Yeah, there's this place called YouTube where we can post videos And you'll see some people occasionally, wow, if I see occasionally I'll see a video of somebody, whoa, this person is, he has dedicated his life to the AK, or to the M16 or whatever, and it's cool. It's cool. As I've said often, I'm more of a jack of all trades, master of none. I thoroughly enjoy firearms. I'm the Hugh Hefner. I like variety, right? And so I have too many interests in firearms. My interest in firearms is so varied, that's what I'm trying to say, that I cannot be an expert in any single area, all right? So there I got a license to be an idiot, all right? But I just thoroughly enjoy them. I do. They're just fun, whatever it is, muzzle loader, this. And so I'll shoot this a little more. Oh, so what we're going to talk about, I don't know. What was I? Oh, yeah, one thing I was going to mention about the last week's edition. If you watched my little spreadsheet demo there, you may not have. You may have looked at it for a second. I don't know. It's not that great, probably. But again, I inserted a little lesson on. I just did it right here on the table. Just brought the computer over here. I was going to print it out first and then just show it to you, but I don't know. I thought just do it on a computer, and I don't do that sort of thing. So I know there are different ways to do that better. When I was teaching, I could do that. Just put it up on the wall, and it worked out really well. We had overhead projectors. We were kind of a high-tech. We were a high-tech school. And, in fact, we were teaching, I was doing computer enrichment classes and things like really early on. I've told you that before, I think. Some of you were there, too, in the early 80s, where if you knew anything about a computer, you were considered a genius. I mean, really, it was funny. So I got the pleasure of, for a few years, people thinking I was a genius, and really only because I could use word processing, and I could type fast. That helped too. But then also I knew how to work a spreadsheet, the basics of it, and so a database. But stuff you could teach like I say, your third or fourth graders to do right now without too much trouble. So even though I was at a third grade level, computer-wise, by today's standards, people thought I was really smart. It was fun. I had computer camps I would do where I taught in the summer, and I'd have a bunch of kids come in. Their parents would put them in keyboarding, and it's back when we taught a lot of keyboarding and word processing, just things like that. I remember one summer, I just did it a couple of summers, but oh my gosh, I made a lot of money that summer. I'll never forget. I mean, it just loaded up with the kids, and it was great. But anyway, back to the spreadsheet. Yeah. So I probably didn't. I can't spend 3 hours on that. But again, that first column is as I was looking at it, I could have done that better. The first column is just what your expenses are. Just set. You just figure it's simple to do, isn't it? Figure out what you spend. It's not that hard. And that's what I think some people have a hard time doing. It's something they pay irregularly or whatever, or the bill comes irregularly, or they're not even sure what the bill's going to be, especially if you have an irregular job or you're in construction or something, your money comes in. Well, you could even that out. What'd you make last year? Figure it out. What'd you bring home last year and the year before, and you figure out kind of what it is. And so pretty much, and then how much you need to have allotted each month, and pad it a little bit, So that's a real important number to get right, and add a little bit to it. I mean, you got to keep it realistic that you're going to put in there, but it still has to equal what you make, what you actually bring home, you've got in the bank. So that's basically what you have to do, and then each month you're moving that amount. That's what I do. I just go. I update my sheet, make sure it's up to date, as of that hour. If I spend anything or whatever, and I just cross through the pen, pull out my wallet, and so it's always up to date on my paper. I print it out and keep it folded up in my wallet. And then just before at the end of the month, when we pay ourselves, I just make sure that's up to date, and I update that on the computer, the master copy, and then the last step is just go over and move. If I've got 1,000 allocated for grocery or whatever it is, then I'd move that over there. Maybe there's already 300 still in there. It doesn't matter. All that goes into groceries, see. that's how much I have, because that's how much I know. So anyway, it works well. And if you didn't catch it, and maybe because of the interest of time or sometime go back and look at it, just remember whatever day it was last Sunday. Hope that, and I did hear from a lot of people that told me that was really useful for them. So it wasn't totally wasted. Okay, my little nerd out on budgeting kind of thing. So what else was I going to talk about? Oh, let me remind you of John. He's still in his comedy big time. He's back at it, and he will be in Huntsville, Alabama. And I hope some of you caught him Friday night in Evansville. But he will be in Huntsville, that's in Alabama, on 9/11 at the Straight to Ale Brewery, 8 o'clock. Okay, they got something going on down there. So and he puts this on his Facebook, the John Hickok Facebook, and in Instagram. It keeps that there and everything. So keep track of him. He's actually pretty funny. Yeah, he is. Pretty funny. Clever, funny. And again, if you don't know anything about comedy and stand-up comedy, some of the funniest people and the most enjoyable people to watch are not the people who you just think of as the life of the party, right? I mean, most you always got your Jerry Seinfelds, but a lot of great comics they might even be kind of quiet. Yeah, it's just the writing is what makes a good comic. It really is, whether you are the life of the party or not. So what else? Yeah. Well, I know one thing other thing about that spreadsheet I was going to mention in budgeting. You know, when you get a little money, you're not in debt and you're not broke. It's nice, and hopefully you're putting money in your 401k, your 403b, whatever that is, your IRA. You better be. And I say that because I was kind of late getting started on it, later than I should have been. Not totally late, but I tell you what, oh man, if you could if every high schooler, if I were teaching again, I would work that into a lesson somehow. Work it into a grammar lesson or how to write an essay lesson. Somehow I'd work it in, I think, because it's so valuable, and I missed it. You know, I mean, nobody dealt with that when I was in school, but if you just go to one of the compound interest calculators, Dave Ramsey or anybody, Google those up, and that's the best piece of advice. That's even maybe better than what I did last week. And put in like your age and how much you could save each month, and how much you could start with. Maybe you got an extra $5,000 or something you could invest. And just in the market, in general market, just across the market. Nothing. I'm not a financial advisor, but you don't have to get fancy with it. That's where you actually end up losing money half the time. But I do that. I do that on my own, through index funds and online. I do it. It's just so simple, and there's so many advisors out there that want to charge you money, which is fine for the advice, but they've got something to sell you. That's what you got to watch. You got to watch how they make their money. You want to pay somebody. If you go talk to an advisor, as I've said before, again, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just a human with experience here. You want them to charge. You want there to be a fee. You don't want them to say, "Oh, there's no charge. Yeah, come on in, we'll help you." Yeah, right. I wonder where they're going to direct you. So they're being paid by one of the big funds or somebody to direct you and work with them, just like most banks are. But so anyway, if you can do that independently, get advice though. Get advice and pay for it. Pay for it so that they don't have anything in the deal, right? So I mean, it's kind of like us in a way. We're not tied to any gun companies, all right? So if someone came to me and said, I love guns, and I've got $3,000 or $10,000, whatever, and I want to put it in guns. Well, I don't charge for advice. Maybe I would if they were going to need 3-4 hours to advise them on that or something. And I'm not big on giving people advice on what to buy anyway. But theoretically, since I have no ties to any gun company at all, I do have my own biases, things I like, but then, for example, I could charge that person, okay, for $100, we'll sit down for a few hours and I'll give you some options I think would be good. You know, you want a good shotgun, you want this, you want that, you know, kind of thing. You know, as opposed to going somebody who is sponsored by Smith & Wesson or Benelli or Glock or, yeah, or Beretta, you know, or something. You see what I'm getting at? But anyway, though, I was going to say, just put in a little each month if you can, and you get set it up that way, and then dollar cost average, as they say. One reason I wanted to mention this, because it's just like buying ammo. There should be. You know, there's a parallel there. The money you're putting in your 401k each month or 403b through your company, if you have one, and if you don't, not have your own, putting in a little bit each month, you don't worry about what the stock market's doing. It's going to be up, it's going to be down. You're averaging it out. You're putting some in every month. So sometimes you're going to catch it when it's low, sometimes when it's higher, and in the middle. Yeah, that's just a smart way to do it. Same way with buying ammo. Yeah, I think a lot of people have determined. And I saw a video on this. I don't remember. It was someone I didn't know. I think actually it was on this. So I don't want to take total credit. It was just it's kind of what I've done in my life. But it was great. Someone made a video on it. Yeah, I don't know, you maybe even call it something like ammo cost averaging or something. I don't know. You may have seen it. But it's the same principle, yeah. And that's what reminded me of it. It's been a week or two ago, but you should be buying a couple of boxes of ammo. I don't know. It depends on your income. Every month or something, every week, you're in a gun shop, just pick up a little bit, and you'll have it. Yeah, you'll have it. And it won't be so painful when you're totally out and you've got to buy 1,000 rounds or something, you know, or it's not even available, right? So anyway, advice to live by, right? More important advice is, if you can, get you a firearm and shoot it and enjoy it like this. What should I shoot? How about that paper? How about that 2-liter? Put a few on the hog. I shouldn't have shot that plate right there. That's a little bit close. I just sort of in the heat of the moment, I put one on him. Hanging plates, you know, it tends to just go flat out. You know, we've got a video on that, but I still don't shoot at them that close. Yeah, so that's a little one, very flexible, very, very forgiving and all that, but still I don't shoot at them that close. Even though I just did. All right. Better be safe than sorry. All right. What else? Anything? Yeah, any wisdom? I don't have any wisdom. God. Where do you buy that? Where do you buy wisdom? Anybody know? Well, I guess, you know, the world is still crazy, isn't it? Even crazier. Every week it gets crazier, either with racial tensions or with the bug or something. It just never ends, does it? And I don't know. I've been hearing a lot of people this week talk about just Twitter, especially. And it's funny because I don't really use Twitter. I know some of you all do, and I think I have the Facebook posting set up to where they'll post over there again automatically. But I really don't go to Twitter, and I don't know if I've ever gotten a message over there. Probably have. Probably hate mail over there. Hate messages, probably. Probably hate replies or something, and I never go to it. So I'm not a Twitter person. It's just kind of, I know some of you are, and people that it's another place to make sure people are aware. We posted a video, you know, so many people come, I didn't know you were posting, you're still posting. Yeah, so because a lot of people don't keep up with the channel homepage, you know. So I don't do the Twitter thing, but boy, it sounds like it must be lethal. It just must be lethal. Just like social media is, you know, it's one of my favorite topics is bashing social media, or at least how it has messed us up to a large extent and given us a distorted view of reality in a lot of ways. It has become reality for too many people, I think. You know, I don't know. I think it's not just because I'm an older guy, an old school. I think a lot of people don't dwell on it and hang out on it. I see people who say that. Like, for example, today I've been out working and I've been you know, building stuff and things, and I keep up with our channel, but I don't know what people are saying. and what people are doing on all these other platforms, kind of, even on our channel. I don't know what people are saying as much as I should, but I think it's just rotting our minds, and it's turned us into a bunch of old gossips. Yeah, that's the thing it has. It's turned us into a bunch of gossips, if nothing else. Drama-loving gossips. Yeah, it really has. And I think we really need to pull back from it, because whatever is going on in the world, it's amplified by about 100 times. Yeah. And things, it really does, whatever is going on, because it's just everybody's reacting, with celebrities, your neighbor, anybody, just like a Facebook posting, things just blow up. And as we all know, a few people who are kind of half crazy on social media, it makes it appear there's a lot more people in that group, and it's really not. It just seems much bigger than it is. And things take on way more importance than they actually should have, maybe. Okay? Even though it's something that's important, maybe something very important, but it would be, it's just amplified and goes into what's the word for it? I don't know. It's just bigger than it ought to be, put it that way. Bigger than it ought to be, okay? And dominates everything. So I don't know. I don't know if there's any future for us or not, unless we can close down all social media. I'll tell you one thing I do, and I've done that for years. I think about it and I fall prey to the media, too, but I try to really not. I think often when something is going just berserk, and it's like the world is, everybody's running around like a chicken with its head cut off over something. I always think back, like 30 years ago, whenever, most of my life, okay, if this had happened in, I don't know, 1980 or 1989, 1993 or whatever, pick a date, 1955, pick a date. Okay, if this had happened, this exact event, okay, there might have been a blurb on the national news at 6 o'clock, very short, because they're trying to squeeze everything into about 20 minutes, every afternoon, evening, and it might have, if it was really big, might have been a longer segment on it, but just, and that'd be it. That'd be it till the next day. And by then, and there wasn't all these places where gasoline could be poured on it. There was no social media. You might mention if it was something really, really amazing or pretty incredible. You might mention it to the guy at the hardware store or something, or about it. Did you see that on the news last night? No, I didn't catch the news last night. I didn't see it. Maybe one of your other buddies did, and you have a little chat about it. That might be it. Depending on what it is. But now that same event, whatever it is, it could just dominate the group consciousness, for weeks, and just continue to explode, and then take on a life of its own, which some things might need to do, but then it might be something that's really not as serious as it appears, but it's become like the number one news item or media item out there, for weeks or something, just because everybody's about it, and I don't know. It's a crazy world, really is. So I think back to that. Okay, would I even know that this happened? Would I even know about this? Would I even know what somebody said about it, or what some celebrity said about it? Probably not. I might read it about on page 3 in the newspaper a couple of days from now. So-and-so said this or something. And eventually there'd be some letters to the editor in the newspaper about it, whatever. So while there are disadvantages to that, if it's something that needs to be addressed, it made for a lot saner society, really. And if something is pretty serious, it's going to get out there. Now, and I'm not just talking about like the racial issues and all that sort of thing. It's just anything. And, I'm almost tired of even talking about that. I still think, as I go back a few weeks ago, I talked about how if there's a situation where somebody does something totally inappropriate, get the facts first. Excuse me, get the facts on that first. Gonna have a drink. Every time I lose my voice or cough, everybody, oh, he's got it. But get the facts straight, all the facts on something, and then if somebody has done something horrendous, something, murder, whatever it might be, hammer them hard. Come down with both feet, and every prosecuting attorney you can find. And if you're a celebrity, or you're just a wealthy person who has who is I don't know, is very very concerned about whatever it is, put your money into it. Put your money into it. Help hire the best legal team that can be put together. All right, and deal with it. Deal with that person. Make sure that person never sees the light of day, never gets out of jail, or is executed, whatever you think. If that person did something really horrendous, deal with it right there, and do that every time something happens. I mean, really, and just make sure that the courts here and everybody gets all the facts, and that justice is done, quote unquote. I know justice is relative, often depending on how good an attorney you can afford, right? Well, it's kind of what I'm saying. Get the best attorneys on it and deal with it every time something like that happens, and just extract that. Get rid of that problem. Right? I don't know. That's just me. Deal with the facts and deal with what's happened, and go from there. I don't know. That's. But I think social media really has made us all so dumb that I'm not sure there's a future for us. I just don't know. And then, of course, I think it's also social media that has caused us all to take sides on everything. And often it's the extreme side. We're just not comfortable unless we're on the extreme side, one way or the other, really. I caught, I recommended these people, I'll mention them again, if you want to keep up with gun rights and things. And Johnny B., who I think is a Tennessean, does one about every day on the Second Amendment News, Guns and Gadget, Coley Noir. There's just a bunch of them that do videos on a regular basis on all the firearms issues, okay, of the day, Second Amendment issues, that kind of thing. And I was watching him the other day, listening to him talking. I put my phone in my pocket sometimes. I'll put a podcast on, or Joe Rogan or somebody, and I'm either riding around my bike or working, and just listen to them, and don't always see them. It's probably the way some of y'all listen to our videos. You don't want to have to see my face, right? Just put it in your pockets. You don't have to. But he was talking about kind of this topic about there's no gray area for a lot of people. There's no gray area. Everything is one way or the other, black or white. It's always this way. It's always that way. Nobody stops and thinks and sees that there's a gray area. There's a place in the middle there somewhere on a lot of issues, and I think he even made the point that we gun owners the same way. Obviously we gun owners are just like everybody else, right? There's so many of us. How many gun owners? There's over 100 million gun owners, something like that. So I love the fact that guns are so they're just out there, and that so many of us are into firearms, especially when you take the percentage. I'm not sure. I think I've seen the numbers at one point, but how many adults? We got 330 million or something in this country. Well, when you take out the people, I don't know what, under 18, or I hate to call them all children, but under 18, let's say. And well, I don't know what other groups you want to take out, maybe people who can't buy a gun or whatever, but how many adults are there even in this country? A couple 100 million? I don't know. You got half of the people who can own a gun actually have a gun. So I got a news flash for you. If you're talking about half the adults in this country own a gun or more, I got a news flash that you may not be aware of this. but about half of the population sometimes don't seem to have a lot of good sense, right? In any area, any slice. So there's going to be some gun owners who are just like everybody else, and they're going to be looking for drama. Do I have to tell you that? They're going to be looking for trouble. They're going to be looking for clicks and whatever it takes to get them and all that sort of thing. And just some goofballs, right? I mean, as long as you don't have a record, you can go buy a gun. So there are some real idiots who can walk into a gun shop and buy a gun because they're not felons. They don't have a record, right? Now, when I say idiots, I mean there's people you hate to be around, right? I'm not even saying they're unsafe. I'm just saying people that, one of those personalities that, oh my gosh. So you're going to have some of that within the firearms community. You got the same thing as in any other community. People who they just are looking for the extreme case or looking for a way to get attention. They're not seeing gray area. I mean, we've seen that with us. We try to use logic. Even back. I still don't know where I stand with the NRA. I'm just so disappointed in them. I've been a member since forever, and it's just disappointing. What's going on internally. They're still doing, I guess, some good lobbying, that kind of thing, and I guess I took them on as a little bit like a religion in my life. Like, okay, we got to have them. They got their issues. Always have had their issues, but they're the big gorilla, always have been, that we need in Congress. And so I've always supported them, as well as encouraging you to join all the other organizations, especially your state organizations, many as you can and everything. And that's why I didn't see any problem with taking them on as a sponsor. They offered to be a sponsor, okay, And even when we were plugging them, which is what you do with a sponsor, right, I would encourage you to join all the organizations that you can. But it's where I was going with that was, it's like with the NRA. That's a good example within the firearms community. It is so cool and so trendy to treat them literally like Nazis. I mean, they're like worse. They're the worst vermin on the planet. There's no gray area. And then the other people, we catch, to give you an example, we catch flack, outrage. How's that for outrage on social media? We catch probably about an equal amount of outrage for dropping the NRA as we did for letting them sponsor us. It's just the way it is. You got people who are going to be outraged on both sides of an issue. And those are the ones you hear from, right? And when you're talking with people, though, face to face, it's usually, yeah, I'm kind of disappointed in the NRA too. Like, I don't blame you for dropping them. I'm still a member. I don't know what to think about. They kind of have my attitude. We're just disappointed. But there's something about social media and people in general. We cannot be in a gray area. We just are not comfortable with that. We're not. I mean, think about religion. How many people do you know they're kind of in a gray area with religion? No, man, they're either, most probably, they're either like an atheist or they're hardcore Bible thumpers. And of course, I'm eliminate all the other religions, but that's just kind of the way it is. It's the way people are. We've gotta be stuck tight to whatever it is, and one way or the other. Not much of a gray area out there. And I've got a clue for people. And again, I'm not the philosopher of the world or the wisest person around, but in my life, I have discovered there is a lot of gray area on almost everything. Okay, so but it feels better. I even appear smarter, and I probably even get more clicks, more attention if I take an extreme view on whatever it is. I think I mentioned that line from, I believe it was Kierkegaard, the magic of the unconflicted person. It's powerful stuff. When somebody seems to know what they're talking about and they've got an extreme view on something, they're even they may be articulate, they might even be handsome or beautiful, gorgeous. And they seem to know what they're talking about, and they're really adamant, and they're so sure of themselves, so much certainty. And they express their side of that story, argument very well. That's magical. They have no conflict. The magic of the unconflicted person, powerful stuff. And we all like to kind of play that role, in almost anything. So gray area, not a popular place, is it? Maybe we need more gray area. Watch the news, It's crazy, isn't it? Can I shoot again? All right. All right, the old 92 FS is, I tell you one thing about this firearm. It's not my favorite, but I like it. And you know something else about it? I don't think I've ever had a malfunction. And I've owned 2 of these, and they just don't malfunction. That's been my experience. Even on paper. Or steel. Yeah, they just work. It'd been funny if they didn't malfunction, but that's what happens sometimes in a video. You never know. You never know. So, good old 92, the Beretta, is still a great gun, and I'm always interested in what vets have to say. People who've been in action, and I hear from a lot of you, and most people are pretty complimentary of it. Some are not, but a lot are, more than I would have expected over the years. But what's even more interesting, though, is that to me, is that the AR-15, the M16, the M4, whatever. Almost everybody. I mean, there's exceptions, but most people who have been that I've heard from that have been in the desert, wherever, they like the M4, they like the AR-15, the 5.56. I mean, they like it. Well, a lot of people still trash it. That's all you got to do is just keep it clean, man. They work. I hear that over and over and over. And it'll never get past those problems it had. In the early '60s, mid '60s, when they didn't chrome line the chamber of the barrel. They were using the wrong powder. The ammo. They told soldiers you didn't really need to clean it and all this stupid stuff, and it caused some soldiers to lose their lives. But once they got that figured out, changed the powder and chrome lined them, the barrels and chambers and all that, they taught them how to clean them. I think most of those issues went away. So anyway, you may not like the cartridge. You might still think we should have a 308, or a 30 caliber. But most soldiers who have to carry them don't think that. Some might. Although, again, the M14, which I almost brought out today because I'm in the mood to shoot my M14, my LRB. Again, I haven't shot it for a while. I love that rifle. But that's another one. I mean, soldiers just love that thing. I've told you before that you look at our videos on the M14s, M1As, and you don't see much hate there. It's just love. And from soldiers, from veterans, from vets, okay, which means a lot more than what I think of it, really, or maybe you, if the only battle you've been in is online or something, I mean, we just don't have that kind of experience. So as people who have had to rely on it, and carry it, So the M14's not. What else before I let you go? I've probably spent way too much time. What time is it? I promise not to insert any spreadsheet lessons today. Maybe I'll insert a grammar lesson. Okay. Maybe I'll start doing that every week almost. Maybe I'll make it shorter, like a little 5-minute lesson or a 10-minute lesson on something. How's that? On why leaves are green, or just something like that. So anyway, I don't want to get into any big topics. What was I maybe going to talk about? One thing I had written down a Paul Simon quote that it really ties into what we're talking about. How some people just get into their little world on social media or in society or wherever and have a hard time moving or seeing the other side because it feels so good thinking the way they think. That's what a lot of it comes down to. Another news flash. I don't think human beings enter the world kind of a blank slate and like a computer or something program, and are programmed for 18 or 25 years to just experience life and remain objective, and then evaluate all of their input and come to a decision on things. No, that's usually not the way it works. We've got a spider here trying to get on the lens. We kind of have a disposition, I think. We all have a disposition, personality, our orientation to life. And of course, that's based on genetics and childhood, just everything, our parents and where we grow up. So we have a predisposition to think a certain way or to even believe certain things, right? Because they seem right to us. They feel good. We feel better thinking that way. Let me say, we're all like that. I feel better thinking in a certain way and believing certain things. I feel smarter. I feel more accurate in my opinions. Maybe the people I hang around like me more if I think that way or something. And so then we end up, I think, with all the input coming in, we end up with we're sorting through it for the confirmation bias, as they say. We're looking for things, facts. Hey, I evaluate all the facts, and here's what I come up with. No, most of the time, we are selecting the facts that confirm our own bias, right? Confirmation bias. We're all guilty of that. And that's just kind of the way it is. And the quote I had made a note of is the great philosopher Paul Simon. A man hears what he wants to hear and disregards the rest. Would you like me to sing it to you? Yeah, from The Boxer. There's just so much truth in that, and we all need to be aware that we all are like that, right? It's just we try not to be too much like that. That's just the way it is. We want to be ourselves, and, the only thing I can advise is the same thing I try to do, is not get sucked into the crazy social media society and all that. Live our own lives and just go do something constructive, and don't get caught up in that, because it's just a different world, and for a lot of people it is their real world, and it affects what they do in the other real world, the real world, right? And it causes them to do things maybe and say things and live in a way that doesn't make sense, doesn't make logical sense, perhaps. There's no common sense behind it. They're basing a lot of their decisions on drama instead of actual facts, the objective facts, whatever those are, right? So anyway, what we ought to do, there's another quotation I heard, I'll let y'all go. I was listening to Clay Travis. I listen to some sports people, and he's in Nashville, but he has a podcast, and I used to hear him on a show right here locally. I would listen to it in the morning, I think mornings, but it was a sports talk show. I'm not a sports nut, but I do occasionally. I listen to that. I kind of like Colin Cowherd. I think he's a genius at what he does. He's brilliant, and I agree with him on a lot of things. Occasionally I don't. He's a little different politically, I think, than I am, but he's really sharp. He doesn't care who he offends. I always feel like when he's talking, it's rare that he has an angle. He doesn't care if he insults a coach or a player, or generally speaking. But anyway, Clay Travis is kind of the same way, and you may hate him because he's probably offended everybody out there at some point. Really sharp guy. I think he's an attorney, but he was saying I guess it was a few years back. He's pretty well known now, but I think he was at ESPN, wasn't he? I don't know if I ever saw him there, but he was quoting Charles Barkley. He said that Charles Barkley gave him a piece of advice a few years back that he's always remembered, and he thought was great, and I thought it was great, and I wrote it down. He said, Charles Barkley said, because the great philosopher Charles Barkley, when he speaks, I listen. I may not always agree with him. There are certain people that when they speak, I listen. And I guess that reveals some of my worldview. I'm very libertarian, as I say. But I guess I confess that there are people, when they speak, I'm interested in what they say. And there's maybe only 5 or 10 of those. People like Rand Paul, who's a libertarian, right? Pretty much. It's a problem with libertarians in a party. It just, hey, I don't know if it's ever going to go anywhere. So they end up in the Republican Party usually, right? But he's very libertarian in a lot of ways. But anyway, when he speaks, because he's a good speaker and he makes sense most of the time, I listen. Greg Gutfeld, same way. You may hate him, but when he speaks, I listen. Charles Barkley, when he speaks, I listen. Because he throws out some wisdom occasionally, right? And he's just speaking off the top of his head. He's a bit of a goofball, right, but smart guy. Anyway, he said, I guess he and Clay Travis were probably talking. It's probably about the internet, right? And what he was doing, he said, if you worry about the people who don't like you, then the people who do like you won't like you anymore either. I thought that sounds like Charles, and it's great advice, isn't it? If you worry about the people who don't like you, then the people who do like you won't like you either anymore. That's great. That's great. And that's what you have to be careful of, don't you? Worrying too much about pleasing everybody, pleasing everybody. And then you don't really get done. You sort of lose your gift. All of us have some gift maybe of some sort, whether it's a little one or a big one, that we can offer humanity, all right? Whatever it is. And if we worry too much about what people think about us all the time, or the people who don't like us, and we're constantly trying to figure out how to make those people like us, and what am I doing wrong? Well, then you screw the whole thing up, and you don't offer anybody anything of value, right? So something for you young people to remember, and then also remember when you're writing your research paper, in high school or college, wherever, to credit the great Western philosopher, Charles Barkley, on that, okay? Give him credit. Charles Barkley. Oh, yep, Charles Barkley and Ralph Waldo Emerson, a lot of similarities there. So anyway, yeah, I enjoy Charles. I think most people do. You may not watch the sports shows. You may hear something he said occasionally. It spills out into the mainstream news. He is a bit of a character. And he's not afraid to offend anybody, regardless of race. He doesn't. He just says what's on his mind, and you got to love that. So, I'll probably let you go now, and talk to you again next week, because I don't want to take all your time. I abused you last week, as it was, with a, whatever 20-30 minute budget spreadsheet. Was it a lecture? I don't know. Lesson. That was pretty bad, wasn't it? That's why I enjoy doing these, though. I get to shoot a little bit, bring something out to shoot I haven't shot for a while, talk about anything I want to, and it's almost like therapy for me. Just have a little fun. And but almost every video is a little bit of, I don't know about therapy, that's a stretch, but we have fun doing all the videos because I ran a couple or 3 viewers, at Lowe's this morning, and we were talking about all sorts of things and about the video, how we do the videos and everything. And I was telling him that it's fun and it's not as hard as some people's videos are, I think, because, well, in a different way maybe, because it is just kind of what we're doing, and we're not moving cameras around and doing this segment and that close up in this segment, and we need to say that better, and you look at, we need to go back and do that segment, that didn't come out well, and, just making a major production out of what we do, although that makes for a better video, right? Makes for a slicker video, probably about more convincing, but if that's what you're trying to convince people of something, you want to do it in a slick way, but the way we do them, kind of like this, except most are not this casual. We're doing a gun, right? And it is fun. It's fun because I'm just getting a gun out, and as long as I know everything I want to share with you and got everything ready, we just turn on the camera, and so it is actually. It's not like nerve-wracking doing it. Now, people will write me occasionally and ask about that. with all the people watching you and make you nervous or, da 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 da. And I said, we're not really, probably because I'm just too dumb to think about how many people might see it or don't care enough. I don't know. But I mean, I care, want people to watch, but in terms of worrying about whether I slip or have a malfunction or I miss more than I should or don't look as incredibly handsome that day or whatever it might be, I don't care enough about that to worry about it. Okay, so obviously, so it's not necessarily therapy, but it's still fun. It's fun because we've done a few things. Speaking of the NRA, they came in through and did a video several years back, a little, what was it, 5-minute, 8-minute thing for where did that show? The Discovery Channel? I don't know where they showed that stuff, and it was pretty slick, and it was, but it was a lot of work. Wow! I told John while we were doing that, whew, if we had to go through this to do a video, I wouldn't be doing videos, and so it is fun. It is actually fun doing the video, and because I'm shooting a gun and telling you about it, and sharing it. It really is, as many of you say, you feel like you're here at the range with us, and I also feel like you're here at the range with us, and I'm just, maybe it's like a big ugly brother-in-law or somebody has come by, and I'm, not that you're ugly, not to imply that, although some of you probably are, right? I mean, it's just a matter of percentage. Not picking on you, George, Bill, okay. But it's just like I'm talking, hey, my brother-in-law Ralph or whatever, this is a Beretta 92F, and I was talking to him about it, and here's how it works, and I'll let you shoot in a minute or whatever, and so it is just kind of like that. So it's just like you're at the range, and I'm talking to you and showing you something, and trying to show off, all right, how brilliant I am or something. So it is fun to do it, and we enjoy doing it, and we appreciate y'all coming around. And as I always say, it's great that, and I know you are supporting the people that support us, because you tell me that all the time. And hopefully you're able to get, the thing, like ammo and guns. I know everybody's short on it, and it's tough, and you might not be able to shoot as much as you would like to, or find the gun that you want, right now. But that'll get better. That'll get better. It always does. It's a little bit like herd immunity, I guess. Eventually, everybody is going to have enough ammo in the basement, and they're going to slow down their buy, or they're going to run out of money if they can find it, and manufacturers will catch up, and all that kind of thing. And so, oh yeah, I had a thought this week. I don't know where I was. It just came to me out of the blue about how herd immunity has already, well, I'll save that joke for another time. John might want to use it, okay? He has none of my jokes. He won't let me write his jokes, okay? Maybe this one he will. But he's funnier than I am. Most of my humor, if I have any, is just dad humor. If you're going to be a real comic, stand-up comic, you got to get beyond dad humor. For one thing, and corny stuff, because so much of the audience is, well, it depends on the venue, but a lot of the audience are younger crowd or people that, their sense of humor is different from mine. So I've thought about that if I would ever want to try that, just for like one time, just for kicks or something. But I mean, I know some funny stuff. I got some funny stories I could relate from teaching or whatever, traveling or something. But I'm not sure they would be that funny to the average 25-year-old. I just don't. I think I come from a different world, and I'm an old guy, and I don't know. I don't think I would even try to be funny on a stage. I don't think I could do it. Anyway, I'll shut up. I'm rambling, and I will see you next week. And I did tell you about John being in Huntsville, Alabama on 9/11. Just a reminder, at 8 o'clock at the Straight to Ale Brewery. And I will be appearing. Let's see, where was it? Oh yeah, it was on a YouTube channel, Hickok 45, about 3-4 times a week. Okay, everybody know where that is? Okay, just thought I'd let you know. See, I am a comedian, right? So I will talk to you later, and I'm glad you came by. I hope you have something useful to do this week. And again, parting advice, try not to get too caught up in the news or social media. Get outside, live your life, turn stuff off, really turn stuff off, treat people right. And as I have said, I am still convinced no matter what happens in a isolated incident somewhere, because things are going to happen, right, in stressful situations, where judgments have to be made at the last minute or last second, whatever. I still see that even with social media and everything else, people are more, I think real people in the real world, put it that way. It doesn't reflect on, you don't seem to get that impression, I realize, like Twitter or social media a lot of times. So I'm kind of contradicting what I've been saying, I guess. But in the real world, walking around, and I get around a lot, I think people are more tolerant than they've ever been. Yeah, I really do. I just don't see, even what I saw 30 years ago, and I'm talking about in environments where someone might, you're all in places where when you're with your crew or people like you, or people like me, or whatever it might be, right? It's all women. You can say anything you want about men, or everybody's freer, or it's all one race, or it's all one age group, or whatever. So you feel free to pick on old people, or feel free to pick on young people, or whatever it might be, or whatever the group that's not there represented. We all have to admit, especially go back in time, you might have heard some things like, really? You see, you're a little bit of a Neanderthal there still, or whatever. That's all gotten better. That's all gotten better. Young people, I'm here to report. It really is. So be sure you take with a grain of salt anything you hear and anything you see, especially, where? Social media or unsocial media, whatever you want to call it. I'll talk to y'all later, and I'm going to let you go, and I'm going to shut up. So have a good week. I'll probably talk to you next week. I will try. I mean, like I say, whatever's going on, if nothing else, I'll at least try to post something as to why I haven't posted today, or whatever. Okay, so that hasn't happened yet, but it could. So generally I'll post Sunday morning, and if something comes up, I don't know, it's hard to communicate with everybody. There's no way to communicate with everybody other than posting a video. But I'll make a Facebook posting probably and say, hey, I didn't get a chance or something, and you might see something this afternoon. Don't just assume I got hit by a truck. Okay? We'll talk to you later. I'll shut up. Life is good.